since he was not in, he could not have. So I've dealt with my board chair. And sadly enough, again, we asked that we cannot continue because the director general was not in. And I raised the issue, but we wrote.
Together with this one, you have 3 emails that you can actually send. Yeah. mshydra@assembly.gm is also another alternate email, together with the 2 that are already on the website to make it 3. And normally when you send the email, somebody will respond to you and say it's also received. You want to say something about content?
Yes. Services. We are the very people who are supposed to serve our people. What we are managing are public funds. Fpac is not here to win funds. Fpac is not here to put your house in order. Fpac is giving you the opportunity to come and tell the people.
Even the Minister of Higher Education, the same thing. How much are you going to subvent to UTG, to Gambia College, GTDI? I want to see GTDI, want to see MDI, want to see exactly how much money you're going to subvent them to. We don't want a bulk amount that has to come, that are actually they've submitted their 29 ministers will be able to come here to defend you, to get you more money if there is accessibility. But for 5 years, you have not submitted anything to them, and you expect them to increase your subvention. I don't know how that's going to happen. So we must help ourselves to ensure that we do the right thing. Yeah. Yes, Buba, yeah. So we have the schedule in case you don't have, we have some more here in case you don't have. Yes, Buba.
Yeah, you just mentioned about having these submitted institutions or put together.
Yeah.
Sometimes this is not the vote controllers. This is done either at the National Assembly or at the Ministry of Finance for convenience of the accounting procedure. I remember we have some committees, and this is also a way of putting on your stake. I believe, because when you have institutions standing alone, you have 20 million here, 30 million here, you find it difficult to cut 20 million. But when you put them together, it becomes 300 million. You have a justification to say, let's reduce 300 million. So these are the tactics that I use. And then both controllers cannot do much on this. So maybe it will come back to you people to help us at the time we are doing the budget, to know that some of these things should stand alone so that it's visible that this is the contribution to, let's say, the maritime. But when you put maritime, Campus, and everybody together, and it is 300 million, now even National Assembly is tempting to say that, oh, it's too much. We should reduce the 300 million to maybe 250. But that 250, the 50 they are reducing might even affect one institution seriously. So this has been happening. So maybe I just need to make you aware of that. So you help us in that aspect.
Thank you. So you are quite right, and that's exactly what was happening. So we want to bring that to a stop. We want them to clearly show who is going to be giving what, and I think that's going to be in interest of all the institutions, because there are a lot of institutions. You ask them right now for their 2022 budget right now as a sovereign institution. Let's say GTDI, how much was approved for you by the parliament? They won't tell you. They cannot. You ask the University of the Gambia, how much money was approved for you at the parliament? They won't tell you because they are all bulked together. So they are at the mercy of the PS, whoever handled that ministry. You know what I mean, Boo? Yeah. Exactly. So we want that we want to work together. So any issue that you see that we can do to improve, our working relationship, let's do it and move this country. Yes, PS.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, for giving me the floor. I'm Honorable Dede from the Secretary of Health. Actually, I just want to comment in the area of the ceiling, because ministries, the budget, preparation level are given ceilings set by the Ministry of Finance. However, it has been my long-standing advocacy for the Ministry of Finance to engage sectors for setting ceilings behind their back and imposing them on them. See, that's where the problem comes. You don't know the totality of the requirements of sectors based on their strategic plans, based on their policy objectives. Now you set the ceiling for them, and you subsume the ceilings and the requirements of them.
We have religious affairs. They came from somewhere, and they were budgeted for all these years in those offices. they came to be added to us on the same ceiling, in addition to our operation. For example, 2020, we are given 40 million. Now you bring NGO affairs, you say you should stay within 40 million. You bring religious affairs, you say you should stay within 40 million. As he said, this is unrealistic.
A lot of processes that they actually have to do. Maybe I will agree if they have to make it, more open, more transparent, and to be more engaging with the ministries also. Because we understand that now they're doing project-based budgeting, which means each of the ministries also you have to abide by those, those kind of budgeting. So I think now it's up to you, your line ministry, at the level of cabinet to see exactly how best they can work on that. But as far as the ceiling is concerned, Parliament does not have the mandate to actually increase anything. So whatever we do has to be done within the ceiling, and that is the responsibility of the Ministry of Finance, as per the Constitution, to be able to set. And then they go to cabinet and do the approval. So we can take money from one ministry to the other, like that, but we cannot actually increase the overall, because his sole responsibility is to manage the economy itself. So, but I can understand, where you're coming from. But I must also say that even the ministries also themselves, they need to be more engaging in the institutions under their purview. There are certain agencies, sometimes I feel sorry for them because they just don't know about their budgets. They prepare their own budget, so they submit to the ministry, and then that's the end. There is nothing that actually happens. So we want to bring sanity to that, and that's why we are saying whatever you're going to do under a certain institution, let's have the amount, and they can go back and work back and then see what they can do from what they have. Because if you have, for example, I give example GTTI, because he's sitting right in front of me, or MDI. Let's say the Mohas wants to give them, let's say 30 million or something like that. So at least GTTI or MDI, they'll be able to know at least, okay, now at least we have this thing that's going to come from the ministry. So they'll be able to, with their own internal revenue, they'll be able to know, okay, now we are expecting to have so much revenue in this particular year, then they can go and work on their budget. But it's kind of like the reverse. They prepare the budget not knowing what will be given by the parent ministry. So I think there needs to be more engagement along the agencies and the ministries, so that things can come to light. And I think the first step is for us to show exactly how much will be approved for you. So I think that could be the first step, and from there we can take it from there. But unless that actually happens, it's going to be really very difficult for the agencies to be able to do their budgets properly, because they'll be just taking figure here and there and not knowing exactly what's going to come from the parliament. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much, Chair. Good morning, honorable members and my colleagues who are here, honorable ministers as well. Just on the same point, the truth is, we do appreciate and understand that finance has the responsibility of keeping the economy safe. But as you rightly said, I think one paramount thing that they are not doing is, when you give people funds to use for a year, it is important intermittently you go to those institutions and see how they are using those funds. That will guide and inform the process of putting ceilings. Otherwise, what is happening is, I gave them 100 million last year, let me give them 105 million. It is not based on any informed decision. If they engage with sectors, they would appreciate and know what those sectors have used the funds they've given them for, and whether there is need to increase or reduce. In some cases, some people don't have the capacity to absorb the budget that they are given. But those who have the capacity to absorb are not given what they require. And by the end of the month, or by the end of 6 to 8 months down the line, you look at the percentage of disbursement and consumption, you would have realized that it's very low. And then they take for granted, oh, you had a very low percentage. No. The thing is because what is being requested is not given. So I would really appreciate, I think the rest of us would appreciate, you to encourage Ministry of Finance, let them
ensure that we have a control. It cannot be bad completely. No, it's not. Because again, the budget is just an estimate and it's just a plan, and your plan can change during the course of the year. We understand that. But it's going to be really extremely difficult. You see budget line for a particular ministry. Now we're going to be doing all our own analysis as well. We have a budget office now, and every ministry, they're going to have an analysis about what actually happened at the Ministry of Health during the course of the year, or what happened at the Ministry of Local Government and Land during the course of the year. We're going to look at every single budget line item in terms of your movement, how whatever we have done. We actually have now an office for that. And that's going to advise us on when we are approving your budget. So if you make a lot of too much environment, for example, the ones I've seen so far, for example, the biggest environment they made is two deep travel food. Two deep travel food. So we need to be careful of those things. So if you come next year and then say, okay, this particular budget line, it's very on the front, this and that, do you think we will listen? We will not listen to you. Because we put money in other budget line items, thinking that you're gonna, there's a need for you to grow. And we know priorities can change. We understand that. But all your budget, environment you are doing is being directed to one budget line item. That's a travel goal. So now we have eagle eyes, and we're gonna dig deep, and we're gonna look at properly. And if you remember, some of the idea for the past 5 years, there was this budget line item they call celebration events. You know what happened with it. So we work with zero, and ministers are not complaining about that, and everybody's fine. It's okay, So we are doing more in terms of really scrutinizing.
And also, especially the civilians, is one another form of the system. I think it should be looked at. I don't know. It's a way of and in fact, it's normally the first vote line to be exhausted. I try to suppress it, but sometimes you plan your budget. Why do you need this video? To me, it doesn't make sense. Maybe I'm wrong here, but to me, it doesn't make much sense. Here are miscellaneous, and it's the vote line that is proper. If the vote controller is not careful, the support staff will just bring payments on that vote line quickly and then, So you have to be very strong to be able to defend that vote line for miscellaneous and emergency situation as the vote controller. If not, it will be the first one to go. So I think maybe we should look into that. But I want also us to look at the concept of program-based budgeting. Are we actually getting it right from the word go? Where we do a budget itemized system, and then we say we are program-based. Program-based should be you have, for example, a program to execute. Evaluation can be done on that. But now you put everything. Now you are at the vote controller, you have to be fixing them as you go. At some point, you have to buy. You have no option. Now the law says you can buy October. I think it's not October. Now you have a program that they are executing, and then your fund has been moved to fuel. More money is moved to fuel rather than maybe other items. Now you want to move that to regularize it, you cannot do it until October. Then when do you complete that program? And in fact, we even complete our program because of the setup that we have now. It's going to be difficult. Who monitors and know which one we complete and which one we don't complete in terms of the cost, matching the actual cost rate. So I think the program-based budgeting should reflect on our budget system, so that it is seen clearly that program A, the items on it, program B, items on it, program C, and then the total. So that because we always give cash plan to the Ministry of Finance. Monthly cash plan. They want to be informed how much you make every month. As the PS said earlier on, you submit a cash plan of 300,000, you are given 50,000. Then how do you achieve the whole of your budget? We are just putting budget. But analyze at the end of the day the cash allocation against the plan. It's just minute. So how do you execute? They say your execution is low. You are giving 10,000 every month. At the end of the year, I will get only 120,000. Against 2 million, you say my execution is low. Who makes low? Is it my performance or your yeah. So who makes it low? You blame me for something I'm not responsible. Give me the money. If I don't spend it, you blame me. Sometimes the money is left there for the purpose. For example, you want to even buy Casper. They give you 10,000. You say, okay, let me manage next month. I get 20,000 for 3 months. They say the money is idle. It's not idle. You have to plan as a good controller. You have to also make sure that there are certain things that you do. For example, in our case, we have specialized equipment that we buy. They give you money. You cannot buy even one GPS. Now you put 10,000, you say, let me put 10,000. Next month I put 10,000. By the time it's 6 months, I will be able to put 60,000. I can buy one ticket. Now you put 10,000, 10,000, but 3 months they say, no, money is there. They even steal your money. They take the money. Your cash, when people get balance, your cash balance will be taken out. So now you cannot be given enough to buy. Now you are doing your own internal savings. They will also say that's a crime because the money is being accumulated. So I think we need to look at the things and then we see how we do it. What sometimes we are put in a very funny position. I remember for the whole of my unit, one of my department, NGO affairs, last month, 0 allocation. How do they operate? 0. This month, 70,000. They cannot even buy cash power. Now, we want them to operate. You want me to monitor them. You want me to report on them. How do I do it? How did the director even give me reports? So these are some of the things that we look at. And the excuse is sometimes you have an institution under the ministry whose money, they see money in their. Because of that institution, the whole ministry is over. I saw last year we have about 3 months of my governors, they don't have allocation. Imagine a governor in a region without allocation. You expect them to operate? So some of that, these are some of the things that are realistic on the ground. Maybe there need to be a forum where both some of the things we are saying, maybe the ministry will also have. But then there is a need for some of these things to be discussed openly, and if we look at it, that we will be able to supply. And also, it will give you the picture of sometimes certain things you may see them, but you might not see them as crime. You might understand that they are just a measure to a solution, but not necessarily a crime. Rather than putting a picture that people buying look like a crime or money in an account look like a crime. It might not look like. It might be the strategy of that vote controller to put in place to accumulate some funds somewhere to be able to do a particular activity. And based on the allocation, we can only do that for even 6 months to be able to acquire that money. And when they say now you have to pay the service, when you don't pay, the supplier also will be on you. If they're calling you, I'm supplier, I've not seen my money. When you cannot, your accumulating money is not ready yet, somebody takes it away. So it's difficult. Maybe you need to understand the whole picture so that it will inform you rather than maybe just putting a moratorium on something that could be later.
Thank you. I think probably these both controllers, I think you need to have more conversation with the Ministry of Finance, especially also with your minister themselves. In terms of this monthly cash plans and allocation to, I think it's a general issue. Even with the department. So I think there's a need for all of us to sit and talk more and see how we can resolve. Because if you have programs that you need to execute in a particular course, and the request that you make actually, let's assume that they give you 5%, 10%, nothing, how are you going to execute? And again, you may be measured on the outcome of those programs. And now who's going to be blamed for those things not being done? So I think there needs to be we need to take the conversation forward and see how we can come together, especially the vote control that manages those accounts with the minister and then see so they can have a better understanding about really what you do. For me, I think perhaps there is the understanding of what you guys do in your respective ministries. Maybe it's not really very clear. Maybe I don't. So I think there need to be more conversation to see how best we can push ahead. But again, we know we don't have enough fight, but we know that. But there are priorities. No, we must understand which ones are the priorities, and then especially you have programs or you have projects that you really need to do in a given period of time. I mean, you know, something needs to be done. So we need to do that. Yes.
Good morning, everyone. For me, my concern is about councils because I've been hearing a lot of why councils are not. And my question is why councils are not. Because as National Assembly, we have high hope for the people. And we think that whatever, because there was a committee regarding council. So when you compare in this country, the councils are suffering as equal sharing of country with local authorities. So if area councils are established by this assembly, I see no reason why the assembly should support by raising our issues in this assembly to make sure that we have also in front to be able to do our project. Because I'm raising this issue because we as a country we have our natural resources within our jurisdiction, but some of these things are also controlled by the central government. For instance, we like the foresting, whatever, we are not entitled. Our sun, our ground, we are not entitled. So this thing is something that is benefiting directly central level, I can say. So when it comes to our region, we pay here, we pay a lot of things to them alone. So what we are advocating as area council is to start having one subcouncil without even, I can say, even if it's important, let them include the ministry. But at least maybe when they are collecting approximately in my CR, their GR is collecting around maybe $15 million. So we are hoping at least something should be left for our people so that we can also execute their projects and do certain things for them. But this is not what is happening. Councils are left behind and councils are entities that are established by this government or by this family. So there's so much things that are lacking at the provincial level. For me, I would just see everything is focused on the central level. So this is why wherever I have an opportunity, I raise this thing as a councils need to be empowered by the central government. Councils need to be empowered by the National Assembly. Because I think without councils, there will be no sustainable development in this country. We are talking of subvention, giving money to ministries, giving money to all other departments. That's fine. But are this ministry or are these departments liaising with area council? Because when you come to the local government, it's stated clearly. They said councils are the implementing body at their regional level. Is this exactly what is happening? Like you will say, under a ministry or a department, they will be implementing a project within our region. Councils will not know. Mayors are not. Councils are not put in the picture. So those are things that are not helping because we are also representing the same people that the central government is representing, that the National Assembly is representing, but it seems we are working in isolation. So, and we are advocating now as councils to start sharing revenue with the central government, so that we can also be able to, because when you take the Jamboree as an example, our strategy plan, the process of is 150 million. So if the law is saying that it should be subvented annually by the central government, those things I can say is not. We are just giving, that's one I put it as conditional plan, because councils are given 2 million and you are asked to operate in those things in this case. Maybe they ask you to identify projects where you're going to spend your dollars. So, like in CR, if you are collecting 100 million from my own people in CR, you are only giving me 2 million. And all this revenue base is place where I say it's taken away from council and revenue generating areas for local government authorities. But those ones are not coming. The substance that is supposed to have from central government is not coming. How do we expect councils to? We are given responsibilities, I know, but we are not given resources for executing our function. So I think without the help of the National Assembly and the central government, talking about development, but very, very, very difficult. Without the involvement of the council, because we are at the grassroots and we know what our people are suffering. I think this is all.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We finally understood he was there also in Sierra. So I think he knows exactly what he needs to do. So we're going to take it from there. Now, another area also I just wanted to highlight with some of the councils. We were getting updates also from the national audit office in terms of submission of our audited accounts. But we have some councils still down for the past 3 years they have not submitted. And I said this in the beginning of the conversation. I said, if what small is given to you and you are unable to account for 2 or 3 years and you expect Parliament to, it's not going to happen. Account for what is given to you, no matter how small it is, and then we'll be able to start and say, we need to get them more. I understand that because I came from one of the poorest area councils from the area council, where the annual revenue is not even more than $10 million. And how do you expect them to be able to do that? We know that. But again, if you are not forthcoming with your accounts, no matter how small it is, for 4 years or 3 years, we have not submitted anything. I mean, what is the ministry going to do? And what is the Parliament going to do? So we also must do that's why I said, let's do our responsibility as well. Let's do what we need to do, and then we can work together. But now, if I have to, our colleagues here, I said, okay, why don't we have the area council do this and that? First thing is like, where are they on the accounts? What have they done? How much revenue did they earn last year? How much revenue did they earn 2 years ago? What have they used for? And we don't have anything that we can do. So it's going to be very difficult. So let's get our accounts together. Now that we have somebody that was one of you, and is still one of you, so that we can take it from there. And yes, and yes, and we also have a select committee on the government. And the good thing about this committee also, we have 2 councillors. That way it came, and I think we should not get better all of us because they've lived it and they have the experience. I think he will get. So we are. I think we are in a very good position. We understand exactly what we are saying, and I think they will be able to help us also to ensure that we do that. Yes, but
okay. Thank you very much. At this juncture, it's important that I make this addition to what my colleague said. But linking it to a previous statement that you made, I think you almost made it indirectly again, that we at council have to also adjust ourselves, which I definitely would agree to. It cannot be business as usual. We've said it over and over. And we are living in the 21st century and in the digital world. We must measure ourselves to the current realities. Yes, that is the fact. Whether at the level of the area council, at the level of the central government, in ministries, even at the level of the wards, we must all adjust ourselves. It's almost a usual saying around the corners that councils do not have capacity. I always question that. I normally do not agree to it in totality. Because for me, I agree that capacity building is a process. And capacity also is never enough. You reimburse capacity as and when it is needed to suit the condition that you want. But the agreement and the reality is, at the councils, we still need some, good capacity enhancement. You said that the quality of our reports, particularly our financial reports, our accounts, you do not have excuse. It must be presented. And that, whether we have the required capacity to do that or not, you are requesting that it should be submitted. So what will make that be submitted? You now challenge us to have the required capacity to be able to produce good financial reports and accounts. You said, okay, but our limitation, let me make this very clear, and I think this is a good place to you as a committee, to the National Assembly as a whole. The area councils currently do not have the legal authority and responsibility to even recruit the staff that they require. A centralized local government service commission is recruiting staff for the local government authority, for the area councils. How do you now select the staff that you want? How do you select the staff that you want? How do you select the staff that will give you the results or produce the results that you require at the level of your councils? The CEOs cannot even recruit or do not have the authority to even discipline their own staff. Chief executive officers. Management do not have the required legal backing to recruit staff that they require for certain positions. Now somebody is doing it for them. How does that person relate to the local government authorities and the area councils? Are those people having the required capacity to know the internal staff requirements of the councils, or the skill set that is required in the councils? We are living in the digital world. It's not business as usual. The team that is at the respective councils have their strategic plans and want them to be implemented according to their wish and will at their time. Like in Mansakoko Area Council, myself and my councillors and my CEO and staff would have developed our strategic plan with our people. And we have some modality to implement it to achieve what we want. But if we do not have the backing to recruit the people we want to achieve what we want to achieve, then there will be a limitation and there will be a gap. And this is the situation that we are right now. So let me say this very clearly. The laws must be dealt with if we want us to achieve. A lot of times we are embarrassed. I have been embarrassed on few occasions at this National Assembly. We come and our report is questioned. But I cannot say in your presence what the problems are. Sometimes maybe you will assume, or you will know, because this is a small community. I'm giving an example of myself, but this may not be the case. In fact, it may not be myself, but it may be other councils and all of us. But this is you have to join hands and see how we address these situations. The councils should be given the mandate and the privilege to recruit their own staff to the best of their ability, what they want, so that they will be able to give you what we all want as a country. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Chairman, Vice President, Chairman, Secretary, Regional Affairs, properly called IPOS. The concept of the comment is very clear, and the obligation of the is very clear. But I think the capacity of the national office correspond to this issue. It's an issue. The national office is the oversight for the things. And the response of the is contingent on the speedy carrying out of the exercises. But I think that's an area we have to re-examine. You might get a request for finance of the community, and we know the rules. Perhaps that's something we can address. Okay. Second, Mr. Chairman, this is a briefing session. It's not going to be a workshop. Yes. Okay. So we don't have time. Because it is handled dynamics of this. Please go back to this. Put on the thinking caps. And internally class out issues. And also there's a winner for we have issues come for bilaterals. Okay? We are free to engage on your internal issues. Really, I don't think you have and you are quite in fact I was going to if we have a special topic for that. So because these are external policy that this
yeah, I will join also the submission that the council is
that the Minister of Finance is the subject there. We always tell us that if we can produce solid accounts, it will increase the amount. But then, all the same, we as a ministry, do advocate that in order for us to actualize decentralization, we need to resource the councils and enable those decentralized structures to be functional. I want to come to this submission by the chairman. I think it's a misrepresentation. Councils, as a CEO, has the power to appoint or to create, I think, 6, which is even not the power given to the permanent secretary. By their law, through the establishment committee, they can appoint up to grade 6. The higher appointments goes to the service commission. Just like the whole ministry, the whole Gambia, service is done, the appointment is done by the service commission of 9 members. The same way, the councils are also a body, an independent body, just for people to be treated fairly. So people's cases to be heard carefully have to go through that committee. But I want to say that councils have the power to appoint. The CEO has the power to appoint to a certain limit. That is up to grade 6, if I can remember. 5, grade 5, yes. So that is the comment that they have no power is not correct. They have power to appoint up to grade 5. I, as a permanent secretary, has power grade 1 and 2. They have been given leverage, governor the same thing. They have been given leverage up to grade 5. So they need to use their establishment committee, internal establishment committee to do that. Then higher appointment goes to the service commission. So I think I just want to plan. And also dismissal. That they don't have the power to dismiss. You cannot just dismiss people. There are rules that is you follow step A, B, and C, and then dismiss. So if we all follow that, I think we'll be in line with law. Thank you.
Now, you know the issue with national we are working for I think if you look at their projects for the past 3 years, also they have been increasing and their number of staff has also been increasing. What you are saying is quite right because of the numbers right up there, but I think for the past 2 years you see that the number of staff gone up. Now, also they are also helping institutions that are struggling with their accounts, even though that's not their mandate. But if they don't come in, the account will never be done. So we have institutions that for the past 8 years they have not submitted anything for 8 good years, and again that's the kind of message. So we are coming to the end of the briefing session, and once again, I want to thank you and want to ensure that you also schedule for you to understand. And in case you have any issues, you can let the secretariat that's also the client, and they will help with information. Yeah. So also the chair of the local government committee now is one of the Jame, who was also a country. So I think you guys are in good shape because you also have people that were once part of you. You know what I mean? So they also have better understanding. It's important that matters are brought here. Yeah. You are acquainted with the actual implement because we are talking of section 2 of staff telling you that there are certain that's our problem. So in those places. Yeah. So once you can get to your committee, yeah, I think you are also in committee, right? Yeah, you are not fine, but at least you have former councillors that are here now for 2 terms that will work with you guys to sort out whatever you need to sort out, and then we'll go to there. So on behalf of the committee,
we are all partners. We are student leaders. Because already there is a committee. I think these are good things that we are talking about. So there is a committee responsible for that. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to be the of this game. And that's what we want to thank all of you for coming. And it's all about working for our country. We are here to represent our people. And whatever you bring here, if we we expect you to do what you're supposed to do. So definitely, let's just work as a Gambian and try to harmonize, ourselves, so that, we don't have that kind of, because we are partners. So on that note, we are not here to reach on anybody. We just want to serve the people of the Gambia. So on that note, we thank you very much.
All right. Thank you all.